Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a very special interview. I am joined by the resident puck knower at the Barstool Chicago office, as well as maybe the most popular guy on Blackhawks Twitter. It's Barstool Chief. Chief, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. I don't know. I feel like the popularity ebbs and flows depending on how things are going. But yeah, appreciate the compliment and happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
My first question. So last year I was on a podcast called Chicago Hockey Radio, and I had reached out to you to come on that show, and you went on, and I was working that day, so I didn't even get to chop it up with you. So it's kind of felt like a long time coming, but I remember at the time I had a bone to pick with you, but I think that's kind of like it's faded over time.
I do remember you had a bone to pick, and one of your co-hosts brought it up, but I can't remember what the exact subject was, so we can get into it now if you want.
It was just about the Bedard stuff, and because I had tweeted from the CHR account, like it was after Bedard, like really nice Bedard goal, and I was like, Chief after Bedard scores, and it was sad, and you were like here's what you guys don't know. I was being a piece of shit for sure.
No, but it's like there is look, and I understand like that's the internet too, like that's part of that game. There was like this narrative where like I and some of it I did to myself, but I remember like the fall before his draft year, so like 9 months before they drafted him.
Yeah.
I had seen Fantilli play for the Steel. I was watching a lot of Big Ten Network. He's 6'3", he's 200. I'm looking at Bedard, and it's just like, we'll see. 2 months later, I wrote a blog being like, I no longer endorse that position. I'm all in on Bedard. But then I did say that, and I kind of still stand by this one, that
Celebrini?
I think Celebrini's the better player, and I think they would have been better off with, a Fantilli Carlson plus Celebrini. So if they had flip-flopped the years where they won the lottery, I do think that they'd be stronger down the middle and probably looking better. But things are looking pretty good right now. Bedard obviously took a massive step this year. Nobody's happier to see that than me. Like, it's good for me when the Hawks are good.
Yeah.
And I love the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know how long I'll have this job, but I've loved the Blackhawks since I was 6 years old, and I'll love them when I'm 96. And hopefully we have like another good run of hockey here the next decade or so.
Yeah, and I appreciate that regardless of, like, you've had takes that I agree with, you have takes that I disagree with. I appreciate that, like, even if it's a less popular opinion, you're going to say it if you believe it, and I appreciate that. I just thought maybe you were writing off 98 a little too early. And so I guess, like, he's taken a massive step this year. Like, obviously, the player that we're seeing right now in 98 it's a completely different guy from even last year.
Totally.
With the jump that you've seen from him, do you now believe that Connor Bedard can be a true 1C and be that cornerstone piece that you build a Stanley Cup winner around? Because I remember you didn't feel that way last year, maybe 2 years ago, but I think maybe even last year.
Oh, definitely last year. I think I was angrier about him last year than I was during his rookie year, because it was like, the team was so bad, but all I cared about was like the habits and the development and like the competitiveness. And you kind of write off the rookie year, but I was expecting him to look kind of how he does now last year. So then I was like, all right, well, what kind of guy is he? And I have kind of the privilege, but also it can slant my view sometimes, where I have gotten to know a few guys who were on the team last year and guys around the league, and you would just hear like little, negative things about him. And I think even the players maybe were kind of, and myself included, where it's like you expect too much too soon because he had that generational label.
Yeah.
And he needed time that 99.9% of prospects need, which is, a couple of years to really find their feet and learn how to play the right way, because he was able to kind of cheat and be on the perimeter and just still be the best player in the world at his age group his entire life. And then you get to the NHL, and I think it took him a while to kind of get going, but I love the nastiness he plays with now, the competitiveness. He's better on the draws. He's better in front of the net, goes to the net. He goes to the net kind of in a way where it reminds me a little bit of Patrick Kane. Like, he's not a net front guy, but his IQ is off the charts, where it's just the puck just
those
seems
loose pucks. He just snips them out.
He pounces on them, and Kaner always used to do that too. So I've seen, like, his game this year has really taken that next step when it's evolved into more of that guy that I do think he could be a cornerstone. I say think because the playoffs are a different animal,
of course,
and we'll have to see it in that environment eventually. But he's shown so much on both sides of the puck, and the willingness to battle and be a little prick out there, that I think it lends itself to him being like that guy who he could be the best player on the best team.
Yeah. I agree. And like, I just, my thing with him is like, he has done, it feels like every single thing that we've like asked of him, like everything you would want to see him doing, like all that stuff you just talked about, like going to the dirty areas, paying more attention to detail on the defensive side of the game, being a little more physical, being a little bit of a piece of shit, being a little more tough to play against. Like, he has done everything. And like, the speed the first 2 years was a problem. Yeah. And then what does he do last summer? He's so much faster this year than last year.
Yep.
So I think for me, that's where all my confidence comes from in 98, is like the release and the playmaking ability are undeniable, absurd. But for me, it's like the willingness to do whatever it takes, I think, is what gets me so excited about him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it's something that all truly great athletes seem to have in common. Kane always came back every year with seemingly another trick in his bag. Kobe Bryant got better. These guys were just wired differently. And it does, like, this is the year where it's like Bedard, like, kind of almost, had a look in the mirror situation where he's like, I do need to get faster. And I had a lot of doubts about how much faster a guy could get at 20 years old, because you could clean up your stride and you can work on some explosiveness and some plyometrics and stuff, but I can't remember a guy who's gotten this much better.
It was
crazy. His third year in. A lot of that happens 16 to 19 as guys are developing and they're working with skating coaches, but his skating and the explosion they're unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, I got no complaints about him this year, really. So I had concerns about whether or not he would stick at center. I think he's proven that he can do that. And yeah, so it's all, things are going well. And on the 98 front, it's just about getting the right pieces around him now.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad we got this out of the way now. I think like last year I would have like gone back and forth with you, but now that I've done this for a couple of years, I've had takes. I've had takes that, and I've dealt with, and I see you dealing with it more than almost anybody else. Like, you'll tweet something that is like just objectively true that I'll fully agree with, and I'll look at your replies and it'll be insane. And so
but you probably see a lot of the replies more than I do. Like, I don't go looking through the replies, and it's like, and look, I've been doing this Blackhawks thing on the internet for 13 years now. I started April of 2013. I'm going to get things wrong. I'm going to get a lot of things wrong. And it's like, look I had the Fantilli opinion, like fall of that year. And then it was the World Juniors where I'm like, that blog that I wrote, like, disregard. And like, that's the one that people always like screenshot and hit me with, which, I mean, that's fine. Like, that's the internet. But like, like November of 22, I have a different opinion than I did December. I certainly have a different opinion as more time has gone on. So like, people get things wrong. I get things wrong. But if I think I'm right, then I will dig in. And
I love that. And you have to. That's what people want. Even if they like disagree with you. Like, I don't want someone who's gonna like half-ass say something and be like, oh, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I can see it. Like, I hate that shit, man. Like, if you're gonna have a take, stick with your guns,
Yeah. And I always just try to be honest. Like, if I am passionate about something, if I really believe something, I will fucking say it.
Yeah.
Are we saying fuck on this show? Is that
You
fine?
can say what?
Okay.
Come on. Yeah.
All right. I don't know. You never know. Try to
Yeah.
play
I
by the house
appreciate it.
rules.
I appreciate it.
And but if it's like, but I'm also quick, and this is just like a thing in life too. Like if I think I'm right, I will argue forever. But if someone makes a good point and I realize I'm wrong, I'm like, oh shit. My bad.
Yeah.
It's just
My fault.
So
Yeah.
I'm always just interested in getting to the bottom of things and really trying to tell the truth. And if I'm on the wrong side, I don't mind admitting that as long as you convince me.
I appreciate that. I respect that out of you. To transition here, I want to do some KD talk with you.
Okay.
I saw you had him on the pod a couple weeks ago on the Stretch Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyed that interview. How did that whole thing come about? Because you guys got him before CHGO got him. And then like, what were some of your takeaways from Kyle Davidson? Like, whether it be like as a GM, his hockey philosophy, the way he answers some questions, like he seems like a great guy, a nice person. But like, other than that, what were some of your main takeaways from the Kyle Davidson interview?
Yeah, I would say, and I've gotten to know him a little bit. Like that interview is kind of a long time coming. Mm-hmm. So it's just, for whatever reason, I had been kind of blacklisted by the Hawks.
So I had heard that. Had heard that. And do you not like kind of get into that too much? Is that
I mean, like I would get into it more if I understood it. So I mean, it goes back. Look, when John McDonough was in charge and I was blacklisted, I got it. Like I said some things about him.
Wild shit.
Yeah, that it was like, I get it. But I've always had Danny Wirtz and I used to live in the same neighborhood. I'd see him around. He's been very good to me through the years, helping me with stuff outside of this realm too. So like I think the world of Danny Wirtz. But and I've always had like my people in the organization that I talk to consistently. And so Kyle and I, we had him like the day of the draft a long time, the Bedard year for a quick thing. But my takeaways with him is that he's honest. I think he's very patient. And in that interview, we recorded that it was a Monday, like the week, like maybe 10 days or so before the deadline. So like you knew Murph and a lot of these things were going to happen, but you knew he wasn't going to talk about it. So it was kind of like a weird time of the calendar to actually interview him. So it became more about philosophy in the process than anything like specific. So which was like a little disappointing. I had Stan Bowman in studio like August or October or something like that of 2020. And I like read him the riot act because like I had been very critical of him. And I was like, this is my one shot to like cross-examine the GM of my favorite team. So it just had a different tone than my interview with Kyle. But I think Kyle's honest. I think he's very pragmatic. I really don't think he has an ego. I think he likes to hear from, his scouts and the other voices in the room, but he kind of does the work too. Like he was flying in the night before from Grand Forks in North Dakota. And, I know he travels a lot. He gets eyes on prospects. He gets eyes on pro players. And so he gets in the nitty gritty and gets in the weeds himself, but he really values the team that he's put together. So I think I know people are starting to be pretty critical of him.
Yeah.
I think that's a little premature, which sounds crazy because
I agree.
He's been there 4 years. So I understand some of the frustration with the timeline, but like the cupboard they had nobody.
No. And if you look at the cupboard now, like Chief, it feels like they're in a position right now that like, let's say you were to fire Kyle Davidson today. I think I could step in and take over with what he's accumulated and do a good job. Like it almost feels hard to mess up because of how much draft capital you have, how many prospects you have, how much cap space you have. Like I agree.
Well, I'm not willing to say that. I think I could get in there and fuck it up in short order because I think because I still don't. I really like a lot of what I see. I think they got a good decor. I don't know that they have a true number one. Okay. Like that part kind of scares me where it's almost
defenseman.
like, where like they don't. If you look at that group, there's a lot
Yeah.
to be excited about. They don't have a Hedman. They don't have like this a true Norris type guy, right?
Can I push back on that?
Sure.
My confidence in the blue line comes from the fact that like I see the Florida Panthers, like who's the, who's is it Gus Forsling? Is he a true number one? No. Is Aaron Ekblad a true number one? No. Seth Jones, but I guess the hope is that like, cause I hear you and you're right. Like they don't have Miro Heiskanen, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. But
like I think the world of Mo Seider too. Like, and he's kind of taken that. But but you're right. The Panthers, really the Panthers would be the best example from recent times. So
or like the Vegas Golden Knights. I guess the Petrangelo. No, that's not true.
Petro, Theodore, like they had some guys.
They had dogs, but I guess the thing with things like Artie, like can Artie, whatever.
We'll see about Artie. Artie's got physical tools.
Yeah.
I just don't think I think they might have like 5 number 2s,
and so that's like I feel like you can win with that.
You can. It's just a little. It does seem like since the early 2000s, most teams that win have that. Chara, Duncan Keith, Victor Hedman, Cale Makar, Drew Doughty, like that real, we're going to ride this guy 30 minutes a night when it matters most.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I think they have a good group of defensemen. I wish they had a superstar.
And so you asked KD, my favorite question that you asked him was you talked about the Spencer Knight trade.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of talked about how he's got that box ticked for the future, the future of the goaltending. And then you asked, outside of development, what box, when you look at this prospect pool and the forward group and the current roster, what box does he think he still needs to tick? And he dodged it a little, and you were like, I said not to do that.
Well, look, and that's one of those questions where I knew there was like a 5% chance I would get.
I thought you did it. I thought you asked it well, though. You didn't.
Yeah,
you didn't
appreciate that.
Because you could have been like, you could have gotten more specific,
Yeah.
But
well, right, but like it's almost like the more specific you get, it kind of can shut down the conversation.
100%.
So
100%.
It was for me, it was more about how does he view like what kind of keeps him up at night? How is he viewing this project?
Yeah.
4.5 years in.
And so like, is that your answer though? Like when you asked that question, in your mind, was your answer to that question like a true number one defenseman?
Yeah, I think I got multiple answers for that there are boxes that I think need to be checked. I love Connor Bedard now as a 1C. I like Frank a lot.
Yes.
I would love to have a Ryan O'Reilly, like a big two-way, not that Patrice Bergeron was like the biggest guy, but like that type of two-way Selke shutdown center. And I'd like to have a real power forward. Like I think that they've got a lot of interesting pieces. They obviously want to play fast. I hope that they are building a team that can play any way you want. If it becomes, a checking game where it's trying to win 1-0, 2-1, they can adapt to that. If it's a track meet, it feels like they've got enough. Even guys like Lardis and Vanacker, and so if you project some of these prospects, where it's like if you want to make it a track meet, they're in a good position to do that. But it's like you want to have a complete balanced team, and you got to have like playoffs. You just bully people. The Panthers just bullied their way to 2 Stanley Cups. Yeah. Vegas was a big team when they won it. Colorado, they haven't been the same since they lost Naz Kadri, and they kind of added him back in, and they added some additional kind of like
some jam.
Yeah, you do, and it's like that's when. You look at this group and it's like, maybe
nice guys.
Yeah, it's nice guys, skill guys, fast guys, which are great. But, if I'm looking at that group and it's like, it screams out, which a lot of teams do, but it screams out for a Brady Tkachuk or somebody like that. And maybe Spellacy can be some of that. Maybe Boisvert can be some of that. But it's like, as currently, just the guys we've seen in the NHL right now, it is still lacking. And I think that they'll go out. I think they'll go get like a Rempe type for next year. At this point, I am tired of seeing Bedard getting these little dust ups, like the one he had in Vegas like a week ago. To me, he's proven his point. Like, I'm glad he's sticking up for himself and competing and doing all that, but like, it's time. Like, he can't be getting into. How long did that last? 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, that's too long. That's too long for your franchise player to be screwing around with a guy who's 6 inches and 20 pounds heavier than him. Like, someone else go take that guy.
I completely agree with like the power forward. I agree that they need more bite. I am really, honestly, with that stuff, I am really hopeful, like with the guys we have on the way. You mentioned Spellacy. I think Spellacy is just like, every time I watch him, I'm like, that he looks ready now. Like, that guy is a total, like, that is a perfect bottom six. Just like, he's one of the best penalty killers in the CHL. Like, he's so fast. He's physical. Like, you need that. Yep. I think Anton Friendel, even if he's not like super mean, he uses his body. Yeah. He's physical. That's exciting.
He's got some Marian Hossa to him for sure.
Yeah. And I see that more as a comparison than Sasha Barkov personally.
Which is a shame. Because it would be nice to have, like, that would be the guy. But I think you're right. I think he ends up being a wing. Yeah.
I agree with you. The area that I think, like, when I look at the forward group, I think you need one more play driver. I think you need like one more top dog. I think preferably a left shot guy to play the left side of the ice, because like, even some of the lefties that we have that are like scored, like Friendel and Lardis and Boisvert, they all like posting up on their weak side, on the right side of the ice, shooting from that circle. I want a guy, like, for me, that's when, like, I originally heard that the Blackhawks were like not super high on Gavin McKenna. I'm like, that could be perfect. And I wouldn't even play him on the first line with Connor Bedard. I'd put him on the second line. You add a couple of big bodies. I agree. You get Friendel. Maybe you go out and you ship off a few assets for a Matty Nyes or a guy like that. And you insert these guys, because I understand the concern. You got, if you had Bedard and McKenna, two smaller guys, insert power wingers on both their lines, more physical guys.
You think McKenna's a center?
No, he's a left, like a left. Play him left wing. Play him with like Frank Nazar and a big body. That's what I would. That's what I would do. And so that's, for me, like, they need I think they do need one more, like, because all the guys you mentioned, like the Pridham and the Van Acker and like Lardis, it's like, you've almost got too many of these guys who are going to be like solid depth scoring middle sixers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if McKenna is that guy. He's looked way better basically since he broke that guy's jaw, but he's still.
Which, look, I bet you like that. I bet you like that.
Yeah, if he's standing up for his mom, I got
hell yeah.
He feels a little bit too perimeter oriented to me at this point. Would you take McKenna or Stenberg if you won the lottery?
I'd take Gavin McKenna. I understand the appeal to take Stenberg, and to be honest with you, I think this front office would take Stenberg.
You're right.
Yeah. But I think Gavin McKenna has the higher ceiling. I think Gavin McKenna is going to struggle in his first 2 years, maybe 3 years as a pro. It's going to be Connor Bedard. It's going to be Jack Hughes. It's going to be just like that. But when I look at that kid's game, I don't know how you don't see a Nikita Kucherov type. Like, I mean, that kid, he is a wizard. And I just think as he continues to get faster and stronger, I think it's going to be the same thing. I think he's going to get drafted, Chief. I think he's going to play in his first year, his draft plus 1 year. He's going to play. Everyone's going to call him a bust. Everyone's going to write him off for the first 2 years. And then he's going to turn into an absolute stud. And so I just I know that if the Blackhawks get the first overall pick, they'll take Stenberg. Stenberg will be a really good player. Like I'm salivating at the idea of Stenberg, but like the Hawks would take Stenberg, McKenna would go too, and then McKenna would end up being the better player. And we're just gonna
maybe. I got. How about this for a question for you?
Yeah.
Because call me a conspiracy theorist, but this sounds like a year where the Rangers win the lottery and the Canucks get the second pick. So those two top guys, the two top forwards are gone. If the Hawks are picking 3, 4, or 5 in that zone, what do you do then?
Chief, I have this question written down for you.
Okay.
I'd trade the pick. I'd trade the pick.
Yeah.
Would you?
What are you trading it for in this situation?
That center, you go out and get Bobby Thomas. Go out and get like a true like stud, bona fide top 6 talent that is, under the age of 29, ready to go tomorrow. What
about Auston Mathews?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I really think that he's gone this summer. I have convinced myself that that's happening.
I mean, look after that Gudas hit, man. I don't know why he'd want to stay in Toronto. Like it's not happening there. It's not like
it's been 10 years. It's been a 10-year experiment. Marner's already gone. I know for a fact that they were shopping Nyes at the deadline. I heard one of the packages that was offered. It was like, get out of here. Okay. And
for Nyes from the Blackhawks or just in general?
General.
Okay.
And it was just like absurd. Of course. But that doesn't mean the price doesn't come down in the summer. I think they'll have a new GM by the draft. So whether that's Doug Armstrong leaving St. Louis, and I don't know who it'll be, but I think that those two I think they're going to do a teardown. I don't think they have any other choice. So I would, if I was sitting with the 3rd overall pick, and I believe Boston, because the Brandon Carlo trade, owns Toronto's pick.
Yeah.
Is it protected or no?
I believe it's protected in the top 5. So I think Toronto's trying to get down. Like that's their hope, is that they finish in the bottom 5.
I'm just pulling up Tankathon for a second. Just bear with me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. No, but like even if they get that pick, even if they finish in the bottom 5, I mean, if you have an IQ above room temperature, I think you should be able to look at the Leaf situation and not think to yourself, this group's they're just going to be able to retool this. And like how that blue line is decimated. The depth is never worked. The goaltending's fine, but inconsistent and injured. Mathews, it's the same thing. You're doing the same situation over and over again. I think if you bring Auston Mathews into the Chicago Blackhawks organization and he's not getting hounded by media the way he is in Toronto,
he'll score 60 goals here.
Obviously, Chief. Yeah. Obviously, just play. He can play the second line center. Give him like the defensive role and just let him. Power play 1, more defensive role. We got Bedsy. Oh my
dude,
gosh.
imagine him and Bedard on the same power play. Like his shot with Bedard's playmaking would be
it would be ridiculous. Yeah. It would be like the Edmonton Oilers,
Yeah.
And so with that being said, I think if that's an option, there isn't an asset that is untouchable for me.
But then it becomes all right. Let's play a game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's Auston Mathews, and it's like, let's stop me when the package becomes too rich for your blood.
Yeah.
Okay. So we already said a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Okay. So top 5 pick. I'll give you the choice between Vlasic and Rinzel. Who do you want? Who are you keeping? And if I ask for one of those defensemen, do you shut it down right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Which defenseman, if you're Kyle, would you keep?
Alex Vlasic.
Okay, so now it's a top 5 pick, and Sam Renzel, Ryan Green.
I love Ryan Green.
Me too.
I love Ryan.
But
Green.
we're talking about Auston Mathews.
I think people are writing off Ryan Green too early. Everybody on Chief, I spend all day on Blackhawks Twitter. Everybody's
that's a toxic place, brother.
I'm an insane person.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Green's a bottom 6 player. That's a third line center. He can't be. Why can't he be a Brandon Saad type complimentary third guy on a top line? Why can't he? I'm not saying,
but also, like, what's wrong with him being
nothing. I just
that's if you draft a guy in the second round and he makes your NHL team, and
that's good.
That's a win.
Yes.
So I really like Ryan Green. I think he's so smart. I do think he has more, like, he'll have better production and better finishing.
We've already started to see it the second half. Like, he's gotten much better as the years go on. Anyway, with that being said,
So Ryan Green's gone. Nick Lardis.
Go ahead.
Also in the package.
That's the package. Four players.
Four
high-end assets.
And next year's number 1.
Give him Edmonton's number 1 in 2 years and call it a deal.
Okay. All right. I think, I would do that too for Auston Mathews.
Right. And, how does that not almost instant? You maybe need to wait 1 more year for the rest of some of these guys to come into the lineup, but how does that not almost instantly make that team a contender? Spencer Knight in net. You've still got Vlasic and Kaiser on the left side. Maybe, EDM, Korch. We can have a conversation about Korch if you'd like, but on the right side, I'm a big Crevier guy. I think Crevier is like, if Crevier ends up being your third pairing defenseman on the right side, you've got a wagon there. But then you've still got Artie, and then you can go find a third pairing.
I agree.
Guy on the right side.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about Bedard, Frundell, Mathews, Nazar. Like, how is that not like almost instantly a contender?
No, it would certainly be a playoff team. And I do think, when you look at the Central this year, it's hard to imagine any of those 3. Maybe Dallas is a team that could drop out of that group if the Robertson thing, like, you don't know. Mm-hmm. But the Hawks, they would certainly jump Nashville. They're basically already jumping the Winnipeg Jets. Like, the Wild and the Avs have another 24 months of being top teams.
Yeah.
At least. But you could be in that conversation if you make a move like this, because I do think Mathews has grown so much as a two-way player that he would alleviate. He's so good, and that would take the whole group. I think he would make everybody better. I was just on the Maple Leafs Puckpedia. He's 28 with 2 years left on his deal. And this is what I keep saying when I talk to people and get in these little spats on Twitter, like you're trying to accelerate the rebuild. Yeah, I am. I think it's like we've waited enough. You have enough assets. You have enough future assets.
This is what you do it for. Like,
correct.
This is what you load up the stockpile for.
Right.
You don't load up to continue drafting 5 guys in the first 2 rounds of every single draft.
Yeah.
Like,
and I do a hockey show on ESPN 1000 Wednesday nights with Pat Boyle, and we had Sarah Volley on, and I made a comment like, if we went through this whole rebuild, because I worry about the ceiling of this entire group. Yeah. As we're watching it, it's like, is Frundell a Barkov, or is he, like, what is, you just don't know yet, which is kind of why I want to get like a bona fide tested guy like a Mathews or a Chuck or somebody like that. Yeah. And he's like, well, because I said, I don't want to grow up to be the Minnesota Wild, was like my comment, where it's like, you're building, and you just lose in the first round every year. Like, I'm not really interested in that. He's like, well, the Wild are, they're a Stanley Cup contender now.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, yeah, now that they went out and traded for Quinn Hughes,
Yeah.
Like that has elevated that entire program. And they gave up a very nice player to do it in ZBM. So we'll see if Kyle is willing to do that. I think if a guy like Mathews or because I think the Hughes thing was probably a little bit premature for them.
Yeah.
This summer, I don't think it is, and I don't think Hughes would have agreed to it come to here either.
No,
obviously.
I agree.
To go to a good team.
I agree, and I just feel like now is the time. Like for a while this season, I was thinking that it was still one more year away. But when I look at what you've got available, especially if you take into like consideration if they don't get a top 2 pick this year, like I think now's the time to strike. And dude, I promise you the comments on this video, people are going to be losing their minds that we're talking about giving that much up for Auston Mathews. But I just like, I think if you have a 1, 2, 3 punch down the middle of Connor Bedard, Auston Mathews, and Frank Nazar, like what
or
are
maybe that bumps Nazar to the wing, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that too.
Is not, so now it's like you got, if you right just in this conversation, you got 66% of your top 6 figured out. If you're Mathews, Frondell, Nazar, and Bedard, like that's pretty
damn good.
Yeah. So,
no, man.
And the idea that one of these guys is gonna, like any of them, Vanacker, you know, whoever is gonna equate to, or even combined, Lardis, Vanacker, what is going to be as productive as Auston Mathews is lunacy.
Probably not. And that's the thing is like, even that package that we just gave up, which was, what was it? It was Lardis, Rinzel, and who was the other player? Ryan Green.
Ryan Green and a top
and
5
then the top pick. But of those 3 guys, it's like you've still got Oliver Moore, you've still got Vanacker, you've still got Nestrasil, you've still got Mason West, you've still got all these prospects, Sasha Boisvert, you still got all these guys you drafted in the first round that like now all you need from those guys is to be 3rd line players almost at most.
Secondary type scorers. Yeah.
And so like yeah, man. I really see where you're going with that. What about like a Jason Robertson? How would you feel about him? Because I think that's possibly even more likely than Mathews, especially if they lose in the first round to Minnesota. Like, is that, you know, not the same kind of player, not the same kind of grinding down low two-way. He's a perimeter guy. He needs to be set up, you know, but I mean, would that be nice on Bedard's wing?
It would. And certainly on the power play, I don't see, people are going to hate, they're going to hate this, but he doesn't get me as excited. I don't think he's a driver. I don't really love his mobility. I don't think he, you know, and if you're and Mathews is not exactly a burner either, but he plays down the middle. Robertson's away.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks, clearly they are building into their DNA of this group speed and skating.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think Robertson can keep, like, what line is he going to be on? You know, like, I mean, Bedard can play a lot of different ways, but he's been playing quick this year too. I'm not going to be like, I don't want Jason Robertson. It would depend on the package. I don't know that he's the best fit. That package that we gave up for Mathews, I don't think I would do it for Robertson.
Okay. And would you prefer like Nyes over Robertson?
Yes. I think Nyes being a little bit younger. I know he's had a down year this year, but what's his contract? I got it up right now. So Nyes is signed at 7.75 through 2031.
Yeah.
As the cap goes up, I think that's going to be one of that's where it's like his price tag is going to be astronomical, because you're going to get a hell of a player with cost control until the end of another 5 years. So
that's why I love Robert Thomas. Like, and I know they were looking like that package that we just made would probably get it done for Robert Thomas. That was kind of like what they had been asking for. And I think Robert Thomas's contract is sick too. Like I want to say his contract is like in the 7 range as well.
Would you rather have Robert Thomas than Nyes?
Yes.
Yeah,
I would.
So
I would. He's I just think he provides more offensive.
He's at 815. Yeah, I mean, he's a center. He does. I don't think we've seen the best of Matthew Nyes.
I think last year playoffs was pretty close to the best of Matthew Nyes, and it was pretty damn good.
Yeah. No, he was awesome. But this regular season is obviously like everyone else there. But he's still 3 years younger than Robert Thomas, too. So yeah, I mean, he had 29 goals last year in 78 games. What did he do in the playoffs?
I felt like he was scoring every important game. Yeah. I feel like he was scoring goals in. Like he was playing so direct. Like I remember he had a couple of breakaway goals that it was like, damn, that's a big player's goal. That's like a gamer, you know.
Yeah, I know that there are people in that front office that have had a hard on for Nyes going back the year before his draft year, because he went in the second round that year, but that was the COVID year where almost everybody had their season shortened or canceled, and they're like, people just did it. People were throwing darts at the wall in that draft. And I think if they had a real year to evaluate, Nyes goes as a top 10 pick, and he just kind of slipped through the cracks. But there's a couple of people that I talked to there that they were wanting him back then and got overruled by Bowman in the previous regime. So
God, dude.
So I think that they would be thirsty to get him, but we'll see. But I think Nyes would fit in great too, like because he'll forecheck. He's big body. Like I love Matthew Nyes.
Yeah, I do too. And yeah, like you obviously need those kinds of guys in playoffs. I would love for Mason West to be able. I don't think he's had like a great start to to the USHL this year, but
but it's such a jump. And I was talking to somebody else. It's like Mason West probably is not even sniffing the Blackhawks until 2030.
No.
You know,
and so that's the point. That's the thing about, like, for me, like if you're gonna draft like a right shot defenseman, like that Verhoff kid, when I see that kid's tape, like I get it, I understand it. That kid is maybe 4 years away from being a good NHL player. Like that kid is a bit of ways. Do you really, even if you truly believe that Reed or Verhoff are significantly better than Rinzel or Levshinov, do you want to restart that clock? Like, should we just sit here and let's wait 3 more years for another right shot defenseman? Oh, let's keep doing it. Like Bedard needs help. No, let's draft another, like I can't.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Smits.
Yeah. That left side.
Yeah.
Then what does that say about Korchinski? Like, did you want to ask him? Like, I commented on that was like the one thing I would have loved to hear you ask Kyle Davidson, just because I want to like see his reaction. I know he wouldn't. I know exactly how he would have answered that question. He would have been like, people forget Kevin Korchinski's still young. He's still a young kid. We really believe. But like, what could they possibly see the role for Kevin Korchinski being? On this team going forward.
And that's what I always say too, because his best attributes are what he brings offensively.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking and I was like, so he's kind of like, this is off camera. He's kind of like Eric Gustafson. And they're like, yeah, that's okay. I'm like, well, I fucking hate Eric Gustafson. So
what is that?
But like, there's some.
You had that conversation with Kyle Davidson?
That was not with Kyle. No.
Oh, okay. But like some guys in the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, there's something to be said for a guy who's carved out a 10, 12-year career.
He's played a lot.
As a power play specialist, and everybody's always trading for him. You don't draft that guy 7th overall. I would move on from him because ideally Lev and Rinzel are your power play quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then so it's like a surplus of goods. It doesn't mean he can't be good somewhere else or be useful somewhere else. It's just hard to justify keeping a guy that has those traits as a third pair offensive specialist when he's not going to be able to use them like he would theoretically somewhere else. So I would try to move him. I would bring him up the rest of the year and give him minutes, give him power play time, and try to showcase him, and hopefully something clicks, and then he's something you could throw in for a package for Robert Thomas or Auston Mathews or something.
Yeah. And I would have traded him last year. Like, I think the longer you wait, you just slowly start to lose value on the player, because I mean, these guys,
I agree.
They turn from, prospect to suspect. And I think Kevin Korchinski's in the process of doing that. And like, I would rather a Del Mastro on the third pair. Like, I would rather a hard-nosed defensive guy, especially when you've got all these guys above them that are all like decent offensively. Like Wyatt Kaiser, I still think has a whole nother level that he can get to offensively.
He's a stud.
He's because awesome. Of the wheels are just like, it's Quinn Hughes level skating. Like, that kid is a sense. I know that's a lofty, maybe not. He is a sensational skater.
I think there's only one of him. There's like, not he and Makar are different. Makar's
more powerful.
Yeah, he's so explosive.
Line. Yeah,
but like Quinn's unbelievable. And I'm the biggest Wyatt Kaiser guy in the world. I've loved him since his UMD days. Like, I'm so excited. I'm thrilled he's on the team. He ain't Quinn.
He's not. He's no. He's not. I'm not saying he was Quinn in like, especially like offensively.
Yeah.
I just like he's.
You're
more,
right.
Here. He's more Quinn Hughes than he's Cale Makar. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he's that like quick side to side, like great stopping.
West.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. And then Vlasic has made massive strides in the offensive part of his game too. And then obviously you mentioned Rinzel and Levshinov. So it's like you got those guys in your top four. You don't need another offensive guy.
You need a Connor Murphy, the guy who can, stabilize the game. Or like I always have a soft spot in my heart for a guy like Trevor Van Riemsdyk, where it's like, his best friend is the glass. And sometimes you need a guy who can quiet the game down. He's not going to make mistakes, and he'll make the safe, simple play and kill your penalties. And, not everybody has to be, Duncan Keith or a guy or Erik Karlsson or Brett Burns. Like, you win games by just keeping it quiet sometimes. And if they can find another guy like that that's not going to turn it over and just going to play safe, sign me up.
Would you like for them to like go out and get like a veteran D-man? Because people say that, and it kind of just like, you got Crevier who's 25, Vlasic's going to be 25. Like, why? Like,
and how old is Kaiser now? 24.
Yeah,
he'll be 24 next year.
Yeah.
I look at it. It's. I think these guys have enough games now where it's like, you're just the vets, like the guys you mentioned specifically, and at some point, and I think Grzelcyk's been a good soldier this year. But at some point, you just got to put your best six guys out there, and I don't care what age they are.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Are you in the extend Mikheyev? Are you a big Mikheyev guy?
I like him. I like what he brings to the table. It's one of the. I got to tell you, I'm of the opinion I don't care. Like, if he's on the team and they can reach a reasonable deal, great. I think the sticking point was probably term. I think the Blackhawks would have given him a lot of money for 2 years. And I think he wanted 4, and maybe they'll meet in the middle at some point. But I think it's term, not dollars, not AAV. And so if he were to sign a 4-year deal, I'd be like, now you are kind of signing a guy who might block some players.
And that's my concern. Like, that was my concern even for next year. And I said, like, if you're going to do it, it can't be over 2 years, because you got Burakovsky next year. You got Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi's been great, but like, you got Bertuzzi.
Bertuzzi will never be this good again, I don't think.
And he probably won't. But you got Teravainen for another year or two. You've got Burakovsky for another year. You've got Ryan Donato for 3 more years. Do you really want Ilya Mikheyev? We're already going to be running into the problem next year where some of those guys are going to be getting scratched. Like, is Kyle Davidson, is Jeff Blashill prepared to scratch Ryan Donato and Andre Burakovsky when they should be scratched? And so that's a concern for me.
Let's hope that becomes a thing, because that means Frondell, Ryan Green, all of these guys, Kanserov, have come over, Boisvert, whoever, and they've earned those jobs, because they're going to have to dislodge guys. I think that we'll see. I think Frondell will be up the whole time. I would not be surprised if Boisvert did the entire year in Rockford next year. So there's still spots, like, you guys have those young guys. We're all excited about them. We got to see them do it at this level. So they have to earn those jobs. Like, Ryan Donato, he's not bad. Like, he's not bad. Ilya
they kind of screwed him this year. Like, they haven't played him. He hasn't gotten any time with Bedard this year, like, he's been stapled to the bottom six.
Yeah. And what do you have, 31 or 2 last year?
Yeah, 31.
Yeah. So now, granted, he kind of did what Bertuzzi's doing this year, where his shooting, like, all-time great. What a contract year for Donato.
Yeah.
But to me, it is just like, if your third line someday is a combination of, Donato and Mikheyev, and more Donato, Mikheyev, like, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. And maybe it's Ryan Green in that middle spot, but those guys can be valuable pieces. But you hope that this is like a good problem to have, where it's like, hey, like, you guys are 13th and 14th forwards now. Like,
are you bothered by the Burakovsky? I don't know if you've seen all the articles, and it's getting. To me, it's almost getting bad because Jeff Blashill's trying to stick with his guy, like Jeff Blashill's, which I respect, but it's getting to a point where it's making him look bad, because this is like, it's just like every single game. And then last night, the overtime play, it's just like that.
The behind the net is brutal. But I think the cavalry's coming. I think Frondell is going to be thrown right on Bedard's line, and that line ends up being Green, or maybe they put Green down. I don't know, but
it sounds like they're going to put Green down and put Burakovsky up there with him. So
yeah, I mean, Burakovsky, a lot of guys were pretty good October, November, December, but he's been atrocious. So I would love to see. I don't know. I kind of want to see a kid line. Like, give me, and it's.
I agree. I think Green makes more sense. Play Frondell on his offside. He likes shooting from the right side of the ice. Connor Bedard's a righty. Like, I think it makes perfect sense. They're not going to do it, but
I don't know. But Blash,
I like Blash. I just don't like the Burakovsky thing.
Yeah, but it's like,
deployment.
I think at this time right now, they just don't have a lot. Yeah. Like, they've tried Teravainen in that spot over the last year or so. They've tried Donato. The Donato, I don't think Donato.
He didn't really try Donato this year. Donato had success last year. I don't think he's really played Donato there much at all this year. Not that Ryan Donato would have, like, you're right. Like, he does have his hands tied a little bit. But I just think, like, sticking with this guy for this long is like, don't be stubborn, bro. Like, come on. This is not good enough, and you should.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. I wonder if it's more Connor, where it's like people have been saying for years, like, stop chopping and changing, give them consistent line mates. And I wonder if it's like, hey, like, I'm comfortable with these two guys. He himself is still producing.
Yeah.
That I wonder if it's just like, hey, like, we have one line we know we can count on. We wish it was with a better winger, but it's just not. But Connor's comfortable playing with those guys. He's having success personally. Let's not fuck it up.
Yeah. Chief, you've been super generous with your time. Last question. Regardless of what happens this offseason, what are your expectations for this Blackhawks team next year?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, because I want to see them take a big step, and I want to see them in the wild card contention at least. But it's going to be hard, because they're going to be so young. Like, can you imagine if Frondell and Kanserov both make the team and then they don't sign a defenseman, so your oldest defenseman is 25, and then your goalie is, what, 24?
You're making me excited right
now.
I know
but like, teams that young don't win. And so it kind of goes back to what I was saying last year, where the
Western Conference is bad right now.
The Pacific Division is bad.
It's income inequality right now in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
There are 3 good teams in the Western Conference. You're right. They're all in the Central.
Yeah.
The rest of the conference is ass.
Yeah. Like and that's the thing where it's like, I guess this is a long way of saying, like, I'm guarding against my own expectations. Cause it's like, historically, if you look at a team whose average age is like 24, and that might be like the high end of, like, they could go even younger than that in theory, you know?
Yeah.
So those teams just don't win consistently. And like, you have to allow Frondells and these guys to like learn how to play a full year. I mean, Connor Bedard has never really, like, this, he's been hurt 2 of his 3 years. Yeah. So like, I want to see him have a full 82 game year and what that looks like. And it sucks that he had that interrupted this year with the shoulder.
I agree.
Because
I think they'd probably be in a playoff spot if he did not get injured. Can I be honest with you? Nashville's there right now. That Nashville team is buns.
They suck.
Terrible.
They absolutely suck. I don't know. I mean, because I was even looking at this last night when they flash up the graphic, and I'll try to pull it up quickly here, where it's like their record in overtime.
Oh yeah, I think they have 13 OTLs.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I just want to make sure I got it right. Yeah, so 13 overtime losses. So if you, and I think they're 7-13 in OT, which feels like a lot of OT games in general.
Yeah,
but if you had flipped that to 13 and 7, so you get 6 more points. Now you're at 71. You're 4 points off. And then if you have Bedard healthy and Nazar healthy, you're probably right. So you're probably in a playoff spot if a few things go your way, which would have been awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's So I guess I want to see them having meaningful games towards the end. Like, I don't want to be sellers at the deadline again. I want to see this team kind of come together and be pushing forward, because like the goal is a Stanley Cup. Like,
of course,
we didn't go through a 12-year rebuild. They haven't won a playoff series since the final against Tampa. Like, this has been going on.
Thank you for not including the bubble fucking Mickey Mouse. Thank you for not doing that. We actually against the Edmonton Oilers, like, no one gave a shit about that.
Shut up. When I hate when people say that. And like, that team finished 12th through
that team was
games.
A joke.
They
yeah.
And like, I think they got the goalie. I really like the decor. Bedard's a superstar. It's just like, can the other guys come along? And like, God forbid they go out and make one of these moves we were salivating about a half an hour ago. Then I think that, they could be in the mix for the top 3 in the Central if Dallas does lose Robertson and they do take a step back. So that's what I want. I want to put the foot on the gas pedal here, because it's been enough time and they're ready to go.
I agree. All right, Chief, I appreciate you so much, man. Can you please plug anything? I can link it in the description of this video as well. I mean, Barstool Chicago. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time, so we got the stretch. We don't do a ton of hockey on there, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. The other guys just aren't hockey guys. So I really appreciate this conversation, because I don't get to. I do it with Boyle on Wednesday nights on ESPN 1000. But I love talking hockey, so I appreciate you having me on and kind of scratching an itch for me, since my day job, it's tough to do with the guys who just aren't big hockey guys. My pleasure, and anytime. Seriously, I would love to do it again. So
let's do it. Let's do it around the draft or after Auston Mathews is here.
Sweet. Yeah.
All right.
People are not going to like that. All right. Thanks, Chief.